Hi everyone, Nicolette here. I'm back. I'm a little sad because I was just listening to some music right before my relationship talk, and there was this signal that just came on, or this prompting that was like they're gonna block the video because the music is for someone else. I don't even know why they do that, because like, who is gonna write their own song for a video? Anyway, whatever. I guess there are people that do, and no shade. I just couldn't continue with the video because they were going to block it. So, had to come back on without the music. Anyway, let us get into our relationship talk. So today I don't really have questions to answer. We're just going to talk about the last chapter of Michael Todd's book, which is entitled Major Keys to Successful Marriage. So we're just going to talk about the major keys and see like, maybe if you are married, you could see if you've been using these, or maybe you need them to help improve your marriage. If you're planning on getting married, maybe these are tools that you should kind of store in your memory bank so that you know to use them when it's time. Okay, let us pray first. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the opportunity to have this conversation. I ask that you bless myself as I go into this information, and any of those who are going to watch it or who will be watching it as I speak. Bless us, Jesus, we ask in your name. Amen. Okay, so Michael Todd, in the beginning of this chapter here, he has this quote that says, "Meet me at the altar in your white dress." So it's by Jagged Edge, Let's Get Married. And I Got Them Keys by J.D. Khaled. I got the keys. So I don't know. Every time I see this, I'm like, who are these people? Because I don't like listen to secular music like hardly at all. And so I don't know half of these singers or artists that he puts up here. But, I think it's interesting that, you know how when you go to weddings, they play these wedding songs, and sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I want that played at my wedding. So I really sometimes am interested to know what these songs are. So maybe one day I might just type them up and listen to it just to see what song it is, because Let's Get Married sounds like by Jagged Edge. I've heard of Jagged Edge. Like, that name sounds familiar to me. Forgive me if I sound like out of this world, because like I don't really listen to, but it's not even that. Like, even Christian gospel music, I don't know their names either. I recognize the song and I start singing along, but I'm not gonna be like, ooh, who's playing? Who's this? I don't do that because I'm just not that person. But anyway, I just thought it was interesting. Like, Let's Get Married. I was like, that sounds like a nice wedding song, but because it's saying let's get married and you're getting married, right? But anyway, so I like this last chapter because he brought in his wife, right? So my friend Lucas and I were talking about the style of this writing, and I think that's what makes it so reader friendly. So again, if you haven't read this book, or if you are interested in picking it up, it's really interesting. It's really easy to read. And the reason why is because he makes it in such a colloquial way where it's like common day, everyday conversation. It's like I'm talking with you right now, right? And he brings his wife into this chapter just like this. He goes, I love this part of the book because this is where we get to do it together. We as in he and his wife. The previous 8 chapters of the book you heard from me, but now I want to introduce you to the best part of my life, Natalie. Say hi, Nat. It says that in the book. It says, say hi, Nat. And she goes, hey guys. Isn't that like, I have never seen that in a book, right? And I thought that was so cute. So she goes, and he goes, and it's written in like different texts, so you know when he's speaking and when his wife is speaking. So he goes, she's my high school sweetheart, the mother of all my children. She's fine and she's all mine. I like that little bit quote there too. She's the love of my life. I'm obsessed with her. I don't like the obsession part because, I don't know that word. And then she goes, boy, stop. I love it. It's like you can imagine them standing there. I feel like it's like, because you guys know Michael Todd, he does a lot of sermons, right? He's online. He has a YouTube channel. He has a whole church. I feel like this is him standing on one of his pulpits, having a conversation and bring his wife along so that she can talk too, right? And this kind of speaks because, as a writer and having done seminars or gone to seminars and talking to people who write books, one of the things that they say is if you choose to write a book, a lot of times you have the content already written somewhere, right? So I have a feeling, this is my take on it, right? I feel like Michael Todd had one of his sermons recorded, right? And then he just sent the YouTube video to some editor person who's going to take the words and then type them up, and that became his book. Because I have never seen a book that says, say hi, Nat. Hey, guys. What? This is not a play, So she goes, boy, stop. But seriously, guys, I hope by this time in the book, you're starting to take aim in your relationship. And I'm excited that we get to give you some serious, usable advice for marriage in the real world, right? So I just love the fact that he included her in there, but it really does give some great tips on marriage. So it starts to tell us about, what guys want and what girls want, or what they need in a marriage. Well, actually, it talks about the differences between wants and needs. And there's certain wants that you have that, if they don't come, if they're not part of the relationship or the marriage, you can kind of live without, but the needs you cannot. And then it also talks about the things that cannot be given to you, right? That somebody cannot fulfill for you. So we're going to go into all of that. Okay, let's see where you're. Okay, so key number 1, understanding each other's needs. So it's important that you do take the time to know whomever you're in a relationship with. So obviously this is written for married people, but we're talking about relationships in general, right? And I feel like a lot of people are so selfish going into relationships that they don't really care about the individual that they're getting to know. They just like a pretty face or a nice body, or they just like the title of being with somebody, but they don't really care about that individual. Like, I will never forget watching something on either Facebook or YouTube where a guy and a girl, they're each other's something with benefits. I don't know what's the word. Something with benefits. Friends with benefits. And then the girl wants to change the status and she wants to be his girlfriend. And he's like, no. And I guess it's kind of on her because she knows what they started off with. But in that case, even if he was to be like, okay, it's kind of like, it's an iffy situation because you didn't start off that way. And when it changes, you really going to have to restructure the crux and the basis of that relationship, right? Because now you're going to care about each other's feelings. And it's not just about the sex, right? It's not just about what you can do for me, but it's also what I can do for you. So it's very important to actually sit down with your significant other, your friend, your whomever, and kind of learn who this person is. What are they about? What makes them laugh? What do they need? What do they say they need? Not what you think they need. See, this is a problem. Because a lot of people can tell you what other people need, but the person, when you talk to them, they're like, that's not what I need. Where'd she get that from? I didn't tell that. Right? So you really have to have this conversation with that person to know in their words, in their understanding, in their context, through their experience. What is it that they need, right? But you have to care. Obviously, you have to care in order to do that. Okay, so it says, does a flower want water or need water? So that's the thing. So also making the distinction between what a person wants compared to what they need. Because a lot of people will tell you they want something, but it's really a need. And the person will tell you they need something, it's really a want. So being able to decipher the difference between what is needed and what is wanted, right? So it goes into what a woman needs. So let's just go through it. And you tell me if you agree, because I definitely will give you my opinion. Okay. So a woman needs security. Do you think a woman needs security or no? So let me tell you, I definitely need security. Okay. And it's not because I am the weaker sex. Okay. Because I could be very strong. You see these muscles? Look at these muscles. They're not strong. I'm not gonna lie. I'm working on it. I'm working on making these muscles strong. They look like muscles, but they're really not muscles, but we're working on making them strong. Anyway, but it's not only about needing somebody to fight your battles type of thing, but it's being secure and, feeling safe, knowing that you're provided for, knowing that your emotions, your vulnerabilities, those things are protected. So it's not just about physical. It's not just about, you need somebody to punch somebody in the face when they come out of line or when they're trying to hurt you or take advantage of you. It's not just about that. It's also knowing that, I can wake up. I know when I wake up every morning, the bill's going to get paid. My children will be clothed and sheltered, and I'm going to have the security and of knowing that things are going to be taken care of. Also, yes, shelter, a car, maybe, financial security. There's a lot of kind of securities. Okay. It's not just about the bank account. It's not just about physical. It's everything. Females want to feel secure all around. Also secure in your attention too. Like your attention is not going to be diverted every 4 seconds, every so often. Like today you're all about me and tomorrow you want to go your way and I text you and you're not even responding. I'm not secure. Okay. It's a problem. All right. So wanting security. So it says, when I say security, I mean a safe place, a safe place for her emotions, a safe place physically and financial well-being, right? So it's everything. It's not just physical. So, a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, that's so sexist, right? But it's not. And I feel like both of them need security, but that is something that females need, right? Whereas guys they're the givers of the security, right? I guess we thrive more on it than guys do. Cause we're the ones who are told more often, there are more fish in the sea, right? Meaning like, who cares about him? Because people know that we get hung up on guys more often. So our security, when it's threatened, that's when our claws come out and we become vicious, okay? I don't want to say we, because I've never been in that position, but I'm sure I can. Listen, I think it's innate in all females, all right? So I'm going to put we, because I'm a female. And I'm sure I could become vicious if I feel my security is jeopardized. Okay, right, Jesus? Is that okay? Can we become? Here's a question. How does God feel if we? I'm trying to put this delicately. How does God feel if? So your significant other, if you find that he's fooling around or whatever, or you think, like let's say another woman is flirting and you step up and are like, excuse me, he's taken. Like, is that bad? I don't think that's bad. I mean, God made animals territorial, right? That's why dogs pee on the streets and corners and stoops and hydrants and the other animals, they claw the tree. Like, what's mine is mine. And God is like that too. Because listen, God says he does not want to share you. He is a jealous God. He made us jealous. There's a good jealous and a bad. I'm not going to hurt anybody. I'm not going to do anything wrong. But I'm going to let you know, excuse me, he's mine. Go get yours. Okay? Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying. So if I feel insecure about some female coming into my space with my man, I'm going to let her know. So speaking of which, I was reading something on Facebook, and this girl posted about a friend of hers who reached out to her and said, excuse me, I don't feel comfortable with you hugging my man. And then the girl was like, well, I'm sorry. I didn't know, because I don't care if anybody comes and hugs my boyfriend. And she's like, well, that's you and your feelings. As for me and mine, don't touch him. Okay. Other people were like, oh, that's so petty. Like, I can't believe she even responded to that. I feel like she has that right. It is her boyfriend, right? And she did ask permission to post it, and they wanted to know if it's okay. For me, I have inclinations, and I have intuition, and I have clairvoyance, right? And all of those things to me are given to me by God. So if God is telling me, Nicolette, be careful with that girl, because she talking about she your friend, but she looking after your man. Okay. See, if God tells me something like that, we won't have a conversation. Okay. We might not even have a conversation, and you just don't hear from me. I'm just saying, if I'm not confrontational, and I might not be, but I am the one. See, I'm verbose. I'll tell you my mind. Listen, I used to be a punk in the past, but that's in the past. Yes. Okay. So now I speak what I speak. If it's my truth, I let it be known. Okay. And if I think you're in my space and you're trying to take over my territory, I will let you know. I might cut you off after a time or two of letting you know. But if I feel like you have no regards of my feelings and what I think is inappropriate, then I'm going to cut you off. I know people talk about, oh my gosh, it's cutting people off is not Christian. Like, I have a different take on that, because I feel like if the person was godly, they wouldn't be trying to take my man. Okay, so since you're not godly, you're a heathen, we're going to put you in a heathen place away from me. You're going to learn about my Jesus from afar. Okay, I'm going to evangelize over the phone or through my attitude, but we're not going to talk like we're friends, because we're not. Obviously, you don't know your place. Okay. But that's my take on women needing security. Let's move on. I don't know what you guys think, okay? I might have come a little strong, but I'm just saying that's my feelings, okay? Next thing, women need affection. Now, now you know. If they ask you for the first thing, security might have not been the first one. Affection might have been the first one. Now, you know women need affection, right? We want to feel love. And he mentioned specifically, affection does not mean having sex, okay? I'm not talking about sex. Sex can be a result of affection, but it should not be the motive. Okay, so a woman wants to be felt. She wants to feel that she's loved, right? She wants to feel that she can talk and relate her feelings and her sentiments to you, and have you do the same for her. I feel like a woman would readily tell a guy that she loves him. I don't believe in telling a guy that I love you first. I do not believe in that. This is my take, and you could quote me on this one. You could quote me. I might write a book about it later. I believe that if a woman loves a guy 50%, she will show him about 70% of affection. See, now 70 is average. It's not max. If a guy loves a girl 50%, he will show her 30% of affection. So like the girl will always show 20% over what she actually feels. And the guy will show 20% less than what he actually feels. Because the woman is like, we don't mind being vulnerable. We don't mind showing. And then a lot of times we feel bad for some people, right? We want to do extra, right? We're always extra. Women are always extra. I know I'm extra sometimes, y'all. I admit it, I try not to be sometimes, but other times I don't care. Okay, like I'm on here and I know I'm extra. So, it's just how I do it because I want to be funny. And sometimes it just comes naturally. And other times I'm just extra. I think it's part of who I am. It's my mama. My daddy extra. I think my dad is extra too, a little bit. Not very. Now it's not my dad's side of the family. It's my mom's side. They're extra. But I love my mama's extra though. Like I remember when I came to America and people used to bother me. I was like, oh, I wish they met my mom. My mom would tear you up. I have learned now that that's not a great quality, tearing people up, but it's part of the being extra, okay? But yeah, so as a female, we tend to be a little extra and we do more than we need to, or even more than we feel, maybe because it's that motherly that, we think the person want to see that. Whereas guys are opposite. They're afraid of being vulnerable and they will do less than what they feel, just because they don't want you to call them out on it, right? So which means for me, if a guy shows me 100%, he gotta love you a lot, right? So the next part of my, what is this called? It's not a study because I haven't really studied this, but it's not even an observation. It's kind of like, it's what I think, right? It's just my opinion. So you should never tell a guy that you love him first, because here's my fear with guys, right? So they will tell you, like, you show them all this affection and do all this stuff, and then they tell you, oh, I only did that because you did that. Oh my God, that's like, that'll kill me. Like, really? So that's why I think you should let the guy do whatever he's doing first. Because if he can overcome his insecurities and his vulnerability to do that much, he must have it, must have it bad, right? And so if he have it that bad, then you could unbottle and let your emotions flow. That's what I feel. I don't know. Is that selfish? Because, like, I'm the type, I'm not going to let you know, until I'm sure that you have similar affections or feelings. And like, it's just that's what I think. Okay. But here's what I've learned, right? Because I've had a few crushes, right? No boyfriends, but I had some strong crushes. And I find that just saying that they like you is not enough to show them what you feel. Because they can easily say, oh, you want it. It's you who are doing it, right? And I don't know, holding back is really hard for females. So that's why they need that. Like, it's just hard for females not to show. I have come to a point where even when I've had a crush, I'm like, okay, do I tell them or don't I tell them? Like, what do I do? How do I show it? So now I'm even more guarded with my affections because I know that I have the potentiality of going way overboard. And I don't want that to happen. And thank God for me. I have my limits. I have things that I decide that I'm not going to do, right? I remember I had a crush on this guy. He was like, so we should go out. And I'm like, no, we should not. Like, what? No. I can't, I need a chaperone, right? Because I need someone here with me. Okay. So, like, you definitely should have certain limits because once you know who you are and what you're capable of, you should try to stand guard against that so that you do not do the wrong thing, right? But women need affection. So guys, because you know women need affections, please do not play with their affections and fake it, right? Just to get what you want. And because guys will do that too. So women, we have to take account that some people will lie just to get what they want, right? They'll show you, listen, you secure, baby. I got your back, honey, right? And they show you all the affection. They give you what you want to see, tell you what you want to hear. And then once they get what they got, they're gone, right? We do not want that to happen, females. So in the same way that guys know what you want, they can use that against you, or what you need, they can use that against you. Another thing that women need is communication. Communication. Listen, you gotta talk to me, brother. You gotta talk to me. There is no, I don't hear you for three days, 2 days, a whole day, and then I never listen. No, we gotta communicate. I'm not saying 24/7, right? Because you got a life and I have a life, but I gotta be able to know that I'm still on your mind, right? So females need communication. We need to have, to have our expressions known. What do we feel, the experience? Sometimes, like, and I know you've heard it all the time, I don't want you to fix anything. I just want you to hear me, right? I want to be able to vent. I want to tell people what I feel. And I'm saying but females, they just want guys to hear them, listen to them, communicate with them. And then it's not only about what I have to say. I want you to talk too. Girls, they don't want to be the one to spill out their gut about everything of the day. And then you be like, oh, that's nice. And then move on. Or how was your day? And then, no, let's have a meaningful conversation. Tell me something about you. I once was communicating with someone who, like, they did it was my little crush, right? Once in a blue, you'd hear, oh, how are you? And I'm like, I'm well. And that was it. That was just done. Like, there's no way, and these are little signs for you to know if the relationship will continue or if it will not, right? So, like, my crush is in super fast because I monitor people very well, right? And plus, I always pray against it. I'm like, Jesus, if it's not for me, please take it away, right? I do that constantly. But if you're not a good communicator, that's a turn off for females because we want to be able to tell you about our day and we want you to be spontaneous and tell us about your day too. What happened, how it happened. And another thing that I've realized too, like, if I say, oh my gosh, I had a horrible day, right? And then you're like, oh, I'm so sorry. End a conversation. How is that an end of a conversation? How about what in your day made it poor, bad, intolerable? What happened? Let's communicate. Obviously, you don't care, right? That's why you didn't ask. But some people are like, well, if you wanted to tell me, you would tell me. I was telling my sister the other day, right? No, if you cared, you would ask for more. Because when I'm watching a movie, right? If I care to finish the movie, I'm gonna watch it to the end. I want to know what happened. As a matter of fact, when the movie ends, I'm like, oh my gosh, no, wait. But what happened to conversations. There's a beginning, there's a middle, there's an end. If I give you a little bit, you gotta show me that you want me to continue. So communication, right? And also when a female, let me tell you, when a female stops talking, she don't care no more. It's done. Right? Because we're always conversing. We always have something to say. We're always trying to tell you something about somebody, about who knows what it is we're trying to say. So when there's no more communication, when the female's not reaching out, boy, they don't care no more. They just move on. You done lost them, right? And that's a fact, because like, I know for me, I don't initiate conversation, period. Let me tell you, I will not initiate any conversation because I don't want to entertain any, right? And like, because I don't want you to think I'm interested, because conversation means interest. Females, please know that. Okay. Men, please know that. Okay. So if you start a conversation with somebody, I don't want him to make him feel bad. Listen, he's going to think you interested because he knows conversation means interest, right? You give your number because you want to be talked to. All right. That's interest. All right. Listen, if I don't tell you I'm interested, please don't call me. I don't know you. You don't know me. So let's not have a conversation. If you want to, maybe you are willing to have a conversation, you can tell me what the conversation is about, what it's going. Learn to know me a little bit. Like, you got to know me enough to want to have a conversation with me. Like, you don't know anything about me and you want to talk. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Find out a little bit, do some research on me. Like, don't, like the other day, you guys remember when I was like, does it say on my profile that I'm from New York? Because I get the question, so where are you from? Like, all the time on Facebook. Bro, if you didn't take the time to look at my profile, don't come and call me, because ain't nobody interested. Because if you didn't take the 2 minutes it took to click on profile just to see, meaning, first of all, you're not an investigative type of person. I don't need you in my life, okay? Because I need you to take the time to care enough about the person you're trying to get involved in to know where they're from at least. All right. Am I single? Do I care about men? Am I my church goer? You know, what's my last name? What's my first name? What, like, do you know anything about me, bro? Do you know? Like, it's not like you met me on the street. Because I know if you met me on the street, you'd be like, well, we want to talk. And you got so much information on Facebook, on Instagram, and you want to try to map how? At least talk about my book. Listen, I give you content to talk. And yeah, you talking about how, what? Boy, bye. I ain't got time. So communication is a must for women. We need it. We thrive on it. If you can't do it, don't bother. Move on. Next is, okay, so that's the 3 major needs according to Michael Todd about women, right? We said security. We said, what was it before conversation, girl? I forgot. Let's see. Affection. Oh my gosh, I forgot my own needs. I need security, affection, and communication. Now let's see what men need. So I already knew from the beginning, before he went into it, honor is one of them, and respect. Like, the word respect was what first came to mind, but he mentioned honor. So I know men want to be respected, right? And that's important because, like, okay, I'm not, like, how we live in this world and people are like, oh my gosh, girls and guys could do the same thing, whatever. But like, men has a thing about a person who accepts them for who they are and see what they're capable of and respect them for that, right? Wild said respect, sex. So let's stay on the respect first, and we'll see if sex is part of it according to his list. But you're a man, and you know what you want, and you think that's what men want. So all right, no problem. And food. He said food. Yo, they do say the way to a man's heart is his mouth. So, okay, Mr. Wiles, those are 3 things he wants. But you see how the first thing was respect. And I appreciate that, because I thought, and I've always heard, and I believe that is the truth. Guys want to be respected, right? And it doesn't matter like what they do for a living. Like, it doesn't matter if they're super smart or if they're super talented or whatever. They just want you to respect them for who they are, right? Give them their due. Respect their words, respect their position, their authority, right? And even if you don't agree, right, with what they're saying, find a way to, like, okay, first of all, let me tell you, I have come to a point where I can get frustrated with people, but then I realize that, listen, you cannot react according to what you feel all the time, right? If I feel frustrated, I am not gonna be like, Okay, so let me say it again. Like, oh my gosh, like, why don't you not understand me? It's not like that. Like, you have to be tempered and understanding and everything like that. So let's see what Michael Todd says about respect. So these days, it can sound countercultural. We want to react like what you're saying. Women don't need honor and respect. Women are independent. So it's saying that he's not saying that women don't need it, does not need it as well, but he's saying that men do need it. So, so here's how he breaks down respect, right? He says, number one is allow him to fail. So if a man fails at something, that does not make him a failure, right? And that's the thing that, females, because even in this society, we look up to guys and we think they're so macho and they're so, like, oh my gosh, he's a guy, right? He knows what he wants. He knows what he should do. But it's not all the time that they're going to get it right. So allow him to make mistakes, allow him to not get it right the first time, allow him to, get fired and to say the wrong thing and to make mistakes. And that's okay, because what is it? We as females, we make mistakes too. Why is it okay for us to make mistakes and it's not okay for a guy to make mistakes, right? It's okay. Let him fail. Even if he is the provider, even if he is the priest, even if he is the leader, whatever. They all make mistakes. The only person on this earth who never made a mistake is Jesus Christ of Nazareth. So that is all, okay? And I had to mention of Nazareth because there's other Jesuses, even though there are no other Christ. Okay, whatever. Anyway, let him fail. It's okay. It's okay. So there's this thing on TikTok where this lady, right? It was so funny. She goes, so never like, you got to believe in your man and you got to support your man. If he comes to you and he says, honey, I'm going to be an astronaut, right? I want you to go. Don't. What she said? Oh my gosh, it was so funny. She was like, don't come down on his dream, but you go ahead and you make him an astronaut suit and you give him his lunchbox and you send him on his way. But then you call your friend, you call him, girl, he at it again today. Look, he about to go to the moon. Like, it was so funny. I have to like repost that. There's a curse word in it though, so I don't really like curse words. But it's so funny. Like, whatever your man, whatever your boyfriend, whatever your husband wants to do, support him to the best of your ability. Yeah, you can give him advice. Well, I don't know. Maybe you could do it this way. Well, what do you think about this way? But at least support him and make him see how valuable he is, how important his decisions are, right? Because they really thrive on that, right? So that's one aspect of honoring him. The second aspect says, let God be the enforcer. Okay, so this is hard for a lot of women, okay, because you want to check your husband all the time and you want to be the one to be like, because he's not putting his foot down, so you won't put your foot down. Let God do that, right? Pray to God so that he can help him become a stronger person. So it says, if your husband has done something wrong or made a mistake in your view, so this is the point it's making, then discuss it with him, but don't let it rule to teach him what to do or correct him. Okay, so this is the position of authority, right? So a lot of times a person might make a mistake, right? And then because you feel like you know better, you want him to see how wrong he's been, right? So that breaks a man down, all right? Apparently, obviously, because it shows him that you're better. You're smarter. You're like, you do not want to make him feel as if you are belittling him in any way. So you can, again, tell him what he did that is wrong, but don't be the person to like kind of, hammer it over his head and make him feel guilty. Let God do that. I believe in being truthful, right? And admitting, no, honey, I don't think you should have done it this way. Okay, that's it. Don't, leave it at that. Don't go any further than that, right? Bite your tongue, talk in your pillow, go to the bathroom. I have a church member who says, go in the bathroom, talk it out, and then flush the toilet. So that you could get it out there, right? If you feel like you're suffocating, you can't move on. Go ahead to the bathroom, go in the closet, go in the pillow, say what you gotta say, talk to the Lord, right? But don't put it in his face like, he's the worst there is. The third one says, honor the man you want him to be, not the man he is right now. So this is like promoting the good or the potential that's in him, right? Making him see that, okay, you might not be the position that you want to be now or we would like you to be, but I believe in you, right? So this shows that you believe in the person. And listen, if you married this person, if you like this person enough to spend time with, to give your days to speak on the phone with, then there's something about them that you appreciate, that you love. Even if it's been years, try to remember what that was, right? So that you can continue to support this person, show them your love and affection, and that you care for them, and that you do not want them to feel bad and be belittled and be not demonized, but diminished because of something that went wrong, right? Next, so the second need of man, so the first need was respect and honor. The second need is support. So that kind of went into the third part of the honor. So the support, where if they're doing something, whether it's domestic, whether it's financial, whether it's religious, like you have to show them that you're there for them, that you're going to support obviously if it's something that's going to destroy the family, you need to talk about it. Like, honey, I don't think that this is something that, let's plan it out. How can we make it work better? But give them that, benefit of the doubt that they're not trying to ruin you or ruin the family, that they want what's best for you all. If you married someone or you got into a relationship, I would imagine you think this person is in your best interest. So if they're going to be in their best interest, they need your help to support whatever goals and plans they have for the future for you all. So supporting their dreams, supporting their efforts, supporting their goals, and their purpose is very important. So that's the second thing guys need. And you were right, Mr. Wiles. Men need sex. Okay? That is a need. So it says, men don't want sex. And he said, say it with me, need sex. Okay? So men need sex. It is scientific. Oh my gosh. What? Scientific science in this? Oh no. It is scientifically proven that most men have more active sex drive than most women. Okay. As a nurse, I should have known that, shouldn't I? It's not a bad thing. This is actually a good thing. Better yet, a God thing. Okay. So he said, and all the men say, amen. Okay, so obviously that is how God created men. If it's scientifically proven, that means God made it that way. And if God made it, it's good. So there's nothing wrong with a man needing sex, right? And as a wife, that is your call, right? You have to provide. And so there is a problem for women who work constantly, right? It's so funny because, as a nurse, I know nurses who work morning shift and night shift, right? They do doubles and they work at night. And it's like, when is your husband going to have time to have sex with you? Because that is a need that they have. So knowing what profession that you're going into, knowing your work schedule, if you're married, like obviously if you're not married, then you do you. But if you're married, you have to take into account that your man, it's a need. It's a necessity. They thrive. That's what they need. Okay. We need air. We need water. They need sex. Okay. But so it's important that you make the time for that. So if you don't, then you're guilty. And that is why, because God knew that, he says, women, don't use sex as a weapon. Don't give, in our language, we say, go, which means like, cross your legs. You're not going to have any sex tonight. You going to the couch. Don't use that as a punishment. A lot of marriages are broken up because of that, because the husband, and it's not giving any reason. Obviously, they should be loyal to their wife, irregardless of what they're given or not, because God says no matter the circumstance, you have to obey him. It's not a wife law, it's a God law that you are to be loyal. But women set their husbands up for failure when they either work too much, they're away too often, or they're not, feeling it, in the mood for it, or whatever, too often. And it makes the person thirsty and causes them to go look in another person's well, right? Go find another source to relieve their itch or anxiety or whatever you call the need for sex. Okay. So women who are married, please take into account that is a need, not a want. And it's scientifically proven. Okay. So know that. All right, so we're going to stop there. What time is it? Oh, so we have time. We won't continue. So key number 2, knowing how to talk to each other. So that's another point. So remember she said we're going to talk about the keys to success. So this is key number 1. Let's see what the key number... Oh, that was key number 2. Let's see what was key number 1. how it was mentioned. So key number 1 was understanding each other's needs. So we went over what the needs of women are and what the needs of men are. So key number 2, then they say is, so the key number 1, understanding each other's needs. And we said that in order to understand each other's needs, you have to have a conversation. You have to interact and take the time to seek out what this information is, right? So key number 2 is knowing how to talk to each other. So right then and there, you're going to have to know your mates, your friends, your whoever's temperament, right? Like know when they're more susceptible to a conversation or more willing to talk, right? You got to know how to talk to people too. Like, are they a little passive? Are they aggressive? Do they like to argue? So I like being right, but I have great understanding as well. So knowing that I like to be right and I don't like to be wrong. So I have to, because I'm mindful of who I am and what I am, when I have conversations with others, I kind of filter what I expect of them through my thoughts, right? So then, like, in the same way that I don't like when people tell me, you're wrong, I always like say, okay, so I see your point, right? Because I like to be validated, right? And that's what a lot of times we have to do, right? Know what you yourself prefer and then filter your conversation, the way you talk through your own lens. Like, what would you like someone to be screaming at you or to be cursing at you? And this is one thing that I hate with parents. Oh, we don't even want to get into that, but since we are. I hate when parents curse out their kids, right? And call them stupid. Like, who likes to be called stupid or retarded or your father's child? Like, and half the time, you know what? They heard those words when they were little. And so they say the same things to their kids that they didn't like to hear. So if you don't like to hear something, if you don't like someone to do something to you, don't do it to another person. And that's what I kind of do myself. Like sometimes I'm having conversations or I'm talking to someone and then I realize, oh my gosh, I did that, right? Or I shouldn't have, like, okay, the other day I was having a conversation with my friend and it was nearly nighttime, bedtime for me. And before I go to bed, I have a whole night routine that takes about an hour to complete or even more, depending on how tired I am and how long it takes to do each one. And so like, it was already late. So I had already told her that, okay, girl, I gotta go because I gotta do my night routine if I go to sleep. And then just as I said that, we kept talking because we always do. Like, you know how you're about to end a conversation and another conversation start up and then you keep going and then you keep going and then you're like, okay, we're about to go and then we start another conversation. So it was something like that, right? And so as she started a new conversation, and this conversation was actually important, I got up with my laptop and moved closer to my bedroom. And then I realized, oh my gosh, like she might have taken that as if I wasn't paying attention or I didn't care about what she was saying. And I did that because I thought if that had happened to me, that's probably what I would have felt, right? So I said, oh, I hope you don't think that, now that you're talking about this, that I'm moving away from you. I wasn't. It just was in my mind to do. And then you just started talking about the conversation. And she's like, oh, no, girl, that's not it. Whatever. So sometimes when you're aware of what you're thinking or what the person might think, just let them know, listen, this is not what I meant, so that they can see your thought process, right? Don't just assume, they'll understand, oh, who cares? It matters, okay? Because if you want to have a good relationship with someone, you have to be able to talk to that person. So in the whole context of knowing how to talk to each other, they say speak each other's love language. So definitely know what that person's love language is. And we spoke about that before. We said that it's not necessary that you love the person the way you think the person wants to be loved. You have to love the person the way they want to be loved. So you need to know what their love language is. Is it receiving gifts? For me, it definitely is. You give me some gift. But for me, it's not flowers. I could care less for some flowers. They gonna die. Like, whereas another female, like my aunt, she loves flowers. So, like, you cannot just do something for a female because you're like, this other girl liked it, or my mama liked it, my sisters like it, so she might like it too. No, you gotta learn what this person's love language is. Is it spending time with them? Is it calling them on the phone? Is it just checking in? Is it popping up and seeing them? For example, I was in the taxi with a driver, and he called the girl and said, "Hey girl, hey love, I was just checking up on you." And she was like, "What? You were what? You were checking up on me? Don't check up on me. I'm not a child." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "No. I just wanted to see how you're doing." She's like, because you said you were checking up on me. So for her, the terms checking up means I don't trust you. It means I want to see what you're doing to make sure you're doing the right thing, right? So that is not her love language, right? I wanted to call you to see how you're feeling. I wanted to speak to you. I wanted to hear your voice. Maybe those are the terms she wants to hear. So know what the person likes and what the person don't like. If the person doesn't like calls 24/7, so don't call them, right? And you have people like that. I was talking to my friend. She's like, don't tell me you gonna call me every hour, because like that's sick. Like, and there are people like that. Like, I might not mind to talk to somebody every day. I've spoken to a lot of my young people at my church, and they're like, "Please, friend or no friend, I ain't calling nobody every day. Like, that's time consuming. I ain't got time for all of that." Whereas me, if I have a friend, I want to hear them every day. I want to hear them every 2 days, every 3 days, or whatever. I'm not gonna let a month. Listen, my own usage. If you let a month go by without calling somebody, they ain't your friend. They're an associate. They're somebody you know. Okay, because you know how much can happen in a month. Right? So know what the person's love language is, know what they like, what they don't like, and cater to them accordingly. Not what you think or what you like, what you know. The other thing I mentioned is to know the power of your words. This is, to me, like, oh my gosh. This is so powerful. This is so on point. A lot of people do not measure their words, right? They do not know the significance of what they say and how people hear and listen. I was talking to my friend just recently, just earlier, and I was telling her, like, listen, like, when my aunt talks about people in the family, my dad, my uncles, my cousins, whatever, I hear her. And when I have to make judgment calls on who and what I need to do, I go back to what I remember she said, and I act accordingly. So it's the same thing with everybody. So make sure you know the power of your words, what you say about people, how you approach people, what you say to people. It's important because people are measuring what you say, and it's going deep. Like, you might smack a person, or maybe they won't forget a smack, but they sure enough won't forget your words, girl. Like, let me tell you, words are important, okay? So make sure, especially whether it's a kid, whether it's a husband, right? Before you say something, think about it multiple times, because that person will remember those words. Years down the line, they will bring it back up, especially us females. Let me tell you, we record. There's a record button right here. I don't know, mine's right here. I don't know where yours is. Is yours right here? I don't know where yours is. But I have a recording button in my brain, and it enregistres, okay? It records everything that is said. And it's usually the bad things, right? Rarely do you remember the great. I mean, you might remember great things, but okay things, yeah, right? Like, I remember the first time my aunt called me beautiful. I remember the first time my dad called me beautiful. I remember the first time, a guy approached me and tried to, like, get my number, whatever. Like, you remember certain things. You definitely remember their words and what was said and how it made you feel. So know that your words are powerful. Words to destroy people, words to uplift people. They have strong effects. And if you want a person to appreciate you, love you, cater to your affections, say the right things, right? Go by it the right way. And, sometimes I listen to parents who talk about their kids like, oh my gosh, she doesn't understand me and she doesn't do the right thing. And then I hear that parent talk to their kid. I'm like, no wonder. Well, I wouldn't like you either. I don't want you as a parent, and that's the truth. Because they're angry, because they're frustrated, and they take out that frustration in their words on their kids, and the kids are listening. And in the long run, they're going to act upon it. And the way they're going to act is they're not going to care. They're going to be unsentimental. They're going to be unfeeling. They're going to be selfish. They're going to act out, okay? And it's because of your words. And don't forget, it's not just actions. Because you might do one thing and say another, and you might say something and do another. I'm telling you, if you want someone to act one way, actions speak louder than words, but words can be very powerful as well, okay? Especially when you're not acting. And then the last point, the third key is knowing how to resolve conflicts. Now, I think that's a huge one. Because in relationships, it's not always going to be rosy, and everything's not always going to be okay, and everything's not going to always go the way you plan and how you feel. Like, you might do something thinking that it's going to have a great effect, and it's the total opposite because the person didn't filter it through your experience and your expression. They were thinking about something different. For example, I just gave the example, this guy calls his girlfriend thinking he's going to show her how much he cares by, calling her to say hello. But he used the word, I just wanted to check up on you. And she was like, what? No, you're not, because I don't do those, right? And she took it in a negative way. So in situations like that, you have to know how to resolve that. You can't be angry and be like, yo, what are you talking about? I said, I'm going to check up on you, girl. I'm trying to show you how much I love you, girl. What's wrong with you, girl? No, you got to realize that she's filtering that through another emotion, through another experience. And that conflict resolving that conflict is not escalating it. You need to learn how to de-escalate certain situations. A lot of relationships are killed or dead or gone or annihilated because people do not know how to de-escalate things. And that's everything. Listen, as a nursing supervisor, sometimes I look at the people at my job and I'm like, what is wrong? Because you just stop talking. You're making it worse. Just leave it. Let it go. And I understand the reason why. And even I fell into the situation one time too. I had a coworker that was being, reprimanded for something. And then she was like, well, they didn't do it for that person. And how come that person got it? And I was like, listen, well, they caught you. They caught you. All right. She got so upset and she was like, she said, behave. I said, what? Behave? She was older than me. But then I realized afterwards that was my fault, right? Because she was in a situation. I had said it once, had said it twice, and I said it a third time, and I guess the third time got to her, right? But learning how to just let things go, de-escalate, picking your battles, these are things that you need to learn in order to get along, because you have to realize not as great as a relationship is, right? And it's so funny because I have a friend that we're just getting closer, and I'm just so afraid sometimes. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want this relationship to change, because most of my relationship has gone sour because of one situation or the other. And I don't want to be jaded, right? I don't want to, see this relationship through the lens of, all my other relationships, whatever, with friends and family and whatever, right? But listen, my mom is still in my life. My sister's still in my life. My dad is still in my life, and I treat my dad badly. And thank you, Jesus, he still loves me because he knows God is working on me, right? But, even when you have had bad relationships, right? Do not look at your next relationship through the lens of your past relationship. Use your past relationships to do better on your next one, but don't judge it by what happened in the past, thinking that, it's never going to change, or it's not going to happen, it's not going to be better, right? You are the person who is the same in all these relationships, and you can change you can improve you. So make sure you realize that when you have a conflict, because it will arise, don't act like you're going to have, perfect relationships. And if you have a conflict, oh my gosh, it's the end. It's not the end. It happens. We're human. People will make mistakes. People will say things. My friend, sometimes she tells me, she's like, oh, Nicola, I'm going to tell you right now, girl, I'm going to forget. This might happen. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Because then I know she's not meaning to forget. And you can do that. Like, when you see that you've done something wrong, before the person even call you out, already set the ground, tell them, listen, this is how it is. This is how I am. This is where we're going to go. And if we happen to do this, this is how we're going to deal with it. Right? You can do that, but that's okay. It's okay to know that relationships have problems. That doesn't make them bad relationships, right? I'm sorry, I keep looking at my watch. I don't want to go overboard over time. Actually, there's a clock right here. Instead of looking at my watch, I could look at this because it's rude to look at my watch. I apologize. And then the next point says, cut out unspoken expectations. Ooh. See, now that is something we do a lot, right? We expect a lot from people, and we say that we just assume and we expect them to know. Like, you should know better. You should know as my boyfriend. You should know as my sister. You should know as my friend. I should not have to tell you, right? And that, I'm gonna say, let me tell you, That is true for some things, y'all, okay? Because I had a conversation with my sister, and she was telling me some stuff, and I was like, you know what, girl, I get you. Because she was like, yo, this person should know this. And the thing she was telling me, it's true. That person should know those things, right? So, like, okay, for example, if you have, as a mother, you expect your kids to do chores. You expect them not to talk back. Like, those are things that I expect. I don't have to tell you not to talk back. I expect you not to talk back. So there are certain things I think that will be unspoken, right? Oh, thank you. But girl, it's all oiled down. It looks, we're going to do it next week because it's time. It's time. But thank you. Yeah, so like, having unspoken expectations of people, if the person is like, especially in the beginning of relationships, this person does not know you, right? They're learning you. So there are certain things that they're not going to know about you unless you tell them. You have to have the conversation about who you are, what you like, what you don't like, what you expect, what you don't expect, so that they know, right? And yes, there are things that you do that are just presumptuous, right? Like I don't know. I feel like there are some things that are unspoken. I'm sorry. I'm just one of those people who feel like if you're considerate, if you're godly, I should not have to tell you everything because your conscience should tell you certain things. That's why God gave it to us. You should know right from wrong, right? Like if you call somebody and you ask them a question, right? And they say, I'll get back to you. Then you should get back to me. That's expected. I don't have to tell you, you won't get back to me, right? No, you said you won't get back to me, right? If we're in a relationship, then you gotta call me, right? You gotta check up on me. Well, maybe not use the word check up because that girl didn't like it. Maybe some other people won't like it. I don't mind, whatever. But like, there's certain things that are just a given in relationships that don't need to be mentioned, do not need to be mentioned, right? But there are other things that the person just won't know just because, and you have to tell them. And let's say there is something that you feel the person should have known. But maybe that's not how they interpret relationships. Maybe that's not how they were brought up. Maybe that's not what they do, right? And perhaps you might have to tell them. Now, here's my thing. Once you're told once, don't let me tell you again. Okay? And not like the next day. If you forget after a while, maybe. But you can't forget for months. Like, come on. Like, I feel like if a person is interested in you enough, they will make the effort to know what to do to please you. Okay? That's my take on it. Rebecca says, yeah, it's weird for people in relationships not to speak for days and weeks. It is. Like, that's just a granted thing. I don't have to tell you that I want to be kept abreast of what's happening and how you feel. Like, you might not call me and tell me I ate, I pooped, I smelled the coffee. Like, what? Come on. Nobody need to know that. It's too much information, right? But, like, if something happened in your day, you got to tell me, don't you? And I don't need to know only just the big events. Like, listen, you call somebody for Thanksgiving, for holidays or whatever, when they're like, okay, friends. But your close friend, you're going to call them more often than every week, every month. You know what I mean? And if you're going to be a boyfriend, soon to be a fiance, soon to get married, I'm going to be living with you in my house, in your house, whatever, our house, whatever you call it, right? So we got to learn each other somehow, and it's going to take time, and we're going to have to converse to do that, right? So, let the person know the things that they should do, but also know that for yourself, there's certain things that you should know, right? But if the person doesn't know them, at least tell them one time if you expect it to be done and it's not being done. Then it says, pay attention to your word choice and tone. So for me, it's usually the tone, right? So I haven't had the experience, right, where, and this happened to me in high school. So I had a teacher, an English teacher, right? So she did something on my exam and I didn't like it. I went to her and I said something, right? And she was like she scolded me for what I said, and then she reprimanded me, whatever. And then another girl came and she said the same thing. And then she got a different response. So I was like, why you respond to her like that? And you respond to me the way you did. She said, girl, it's the way you said it. And I've always been said that. That has always been said to me. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Because I'm very expressionate, right? And I wear my emotions at my sleeves. Like, if I love you, you will know. If I don't like you, you will know, right? So if I don't like what you did, you won't find out, because I'm gonna show it. And so it's gonna be noted in my tone. Okay, so last night, right, I was having this conversation. Well, not this conversation. And one of my the people who watch made mention, and I was like, what? No. And then I had to catch myself and be like, wait, Nicolette, he might not really know. Like, relax. But from the very beginning, I started off like, what? And I couldn't, look, my jaw, my cheek, my face, my brow. And then I had to be like, no, let's just explain in a neutral tone. And I don't even know if I was neutral. And he did say, thank you for explaining. So I hope he wasn't offended. But in my heart, I was like, was I a little off-putting? Because I was like, first of all, and sometimes that happens with my friend too. Because like, when I'm having a conversation with her, sometimes she doesn't catch everything that I'm saying. And I'm like, okay, so this happened, then that. And like, as I'm saying, I'm like, Nicolette, are you being condescending? I'm not trying to be condescending. But part of me is a little annoyed. But I hope she doesn't see the annoyance in my voice. Because as I talk, it's only as I'm talking, I'm like, be calm, be collected, be nice. But in the beginning, I'm like, what the heck is wrong with this girl and her thoughts and her mind? Get on board, girl. Get on board. Like, so your tone and your expressions mean a lot in conversation. And even if like you're an expressionate person and you wear your emotions at your sleeve, even if you begin upset, like, try to be aware and bring yourself back on course and be kind and nice, because that's what I'm working on for myself, because I know me. Okay. But yes, pay attention to your word choice and your tone. Word choice is also very important too. And I'm very mindful of my word choice. Like, I change my words around in my head a lot, right, before they come out of my mouth, especially when I'm upset, right? I work it in my mind and like, okay, that sounds angry. Okay. And then I'll be like, okay, so, and as I'm saying, I'm like, I'm trying to see how I can put it, but I'm trying not to be angry, right? It's a challenge, y'all. It's effort, okay? Especially with people that you love. Like, I'm not trying to hurt anyone, but like, people you don't care about, you don't care about, right? But me, I tend to be nice to everyone, whether people I know or people I do not know, right? But I don't want people to offend me either, or to think I'm stupid, or to, it is frustrating when you're trying to tell somebody something and then you feel like they're not following you, right? Or they're not understanding. It can be very frustrating, right? But it's not their fault if they don't understand. Sometimes I'm not clear, and I got to accept that too. It's not them, it's me, right? Especially if it happens often. Okay, we're going to end here. I don't know how many more pages there are to this, but it is 4:03. And okay, we're going to end there, because actually, no, we're not going to end there. We're going to say this last thing, because that's the last part here, because this is the conclusion. Unlock marriage success. Okay, so it just talks about, so she says, as Michael said in this previous chapter, Satan's plan is to divide and conquer, but God's plan is to unite and conquer. You can get on God's side by pursuing unity at every turn. So she says that. And then he goes, a lot of things we have talked about in this chapter. Thanks for joining me, Nate, or Nat, actually, it's Nat. Because I guess her name is Natalie, are useful in all important relationships. They're totally crucial in marriage, to review. So it says, understand the man and the woman tend to have different needs. Something that is just a want for one partner might be a need for the other, and the other spouse have better try to meet it, or a serious deficit is going to build up in the marriage, right? So knowing, and I like the fact that he said this is not just in marriage, but it's in all relationships. It's not only girlfriend and boyfriend, but it's friends, it's brothers and sisters, it's mothers and fathers, mothers and daughters, sons and fathers. It's any relationship, co-workers, neighbors. You need all of this. Well, maybe not the woman needs, and communication and things like that is what we need. Okay. So just knowing that if you want your communication to thrive, put God in it first. I mean, if you want your marriage, your relationship, your whatever relationship it is, if you want it to thrive, you put God first, and he will teach you and show you what you need to do to make that relationship stronger, okay, and more together. So that was what I had for you guys today. If there's any comments or any questions, please put them in the comment box, and I will see you all possibly during the week, but most definitely Friday night. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to once more go over the information on relationship goals. Thank you for this great book, which has come to an end. Next week, we will see the conclusion of the book. We thank you for a person like Michael Todd, who took the time to commune with you so that you can give him key points on how we as individuals can become better in our relationships. I pray that you help us to remember all the key points that we need to recall so that we can apply them in our lives so that our relationships can become stronger. Bless all those who are listening right now and those who will listen in the future. Help us have a great week. Thank you for your Sabbath that is soon to come to a close. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay, guys, I will see you next week. Bye.